about a quarter after the hour, and time now for what's trending. An Iowa man forced to change careers due to the pandemic is making the best of it, starting a business out of his basement where he can now deliver coffee with his 11-year-old pug named Sushi. Check it out. In November, Chris James started Buffalo Brew coffee roasting, and once an order is bagged up and ready to go, he hops on his bike and rolls from delivery to delivery. James is packing more than coffee, though. And you're about to meet his trusty traveling companion, his nearly 11-year-old female pug, Sushi. She has difficulty moving her hind legs and she is blind. And this is a great way that James can get her out into the fresh air. James says his customers have taken a liking to the strapped-in helmet and goggle-wearing bundle of joy. He says as the business continues to grow, oh my gosh, he will eventually wave goodbye to making deliveries on his bike. But I'm sure him and Sushi are both very much enjoying those rides for now. I just love watching her in the back. Oh my gosh, she's getting all the pets.
That's so cute.
And she looks so adorable with the helmet and the goggles too, and a really great way to get her out there too, especially for a dog that's not very mobile. So this guy has just been taking the pandemic by the horns and being really creative. Great to see stories like this.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I was laughing at the little Sushi. Yeah. She's so cute though. She really is. I think it's so funny how they have the goggles, the helmet, like everything perfect for her. But this is so good. It's also good to see, you know, people being creative during that time, and it's paying off for them. So.
Yeah. There's one thing this pandemic has forced us to do, and that is to get creative. That is a perfect way right there. Another way, though, back in November, I mean, I had to do weather for my apartment. So talk about trying to get creative in something I never thought I'd be doing. I'm sure he never thought he had to do something like that either. And it's just so cute when you get to see the doggy that gets to go along with it. The dog just wins this story right here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I know also during, when things were getting really bad in the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were home. They were spending more time with different recipes and probably drinking a little bit more wine. So let's uncork a bottle of history for you. A 200-year-old wine intended for Napoleon has sold at an auction for $30,000. That's according to the Cape Fine and Rare Wine Auction. The company says the bottle of Grand Constance 1821 is one of what may be just 12 remaining in the world. Foodandwine.com reports that the sweet red wine is still drinkable and that it was opened but recorked in 2019 to ensure that its quality remained intact. The head of the auction called it, quote, arguably one of the most precious, scarce, and coveted wines in the world. And I am sure that it is. I mean, if you're dating it back to that time and it's still okay to drink, that's pretty fascinating. I could not really get with them on the $30,000 part, you guys, but I would definitely try it though.
Oh yeah, if someone offered me a glass, I would be lining right up to try that. I gotta wonder, because you hear all about wine that's aged maybe 5 or 10 years or even 20 years, it's kind of a big deal. But for it to be aged 200 years, I just wonder, how that changes the complexities of flavors and stuff like that. I've become a little bit of a wino myself, in part thanks to the pandemic too. But we love, I think that would be really cool to be the person to be able to open this bottle of wine, especially with there being only 12 that you said in the entire world.
Wow. Yeah, whoever's the daredevil to open that up, I mean, let us know how it tastes, and hopefully they don't get sick as a result. That's why I'm just going to stay as far away from that wine as possible. We'll social distance from that wine and maybe go to better wine that's a little bit more recent, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I would try it, but
I would have to try it too.
Yeah, I don't know. I might give into the peer pressure. I don't know. But meanwhile, moving closer to home, a Wisconsin man has a hole in his ceiling after a heavy ball of ice crashed through his roof and it nearly hit him. An Elk-bound man had a bit of a rude wake-up call after this ball of ice crashed through his bedroom ceiling. It weighed in at a whopping 12.6 pounds, and 12 pounds of ice causing thousands in damage. The big question left on everyone's mind is, where did this thing come from? Officials from the National Weather Service office in Chanhassen, Minnesota said that morning storms weren't strong enough to cause any hail that big. So the family is waiting to hear back from scientists at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire to see if it's possible to analyze the ice. And yeah, that's kind of spooky there to see what happened. And I mean, there's definitely some possible ideas that may have came off of maybe some aircraft or something like that, but who knows? I mean, we'll just have to see what the scientists say that are analyzing this. I mean, that is spooky, just going straight through the roof and nearly hitting someone. That almost makes us nervous. I'm like, I hope nothing goes through our roof or anything else.
Right, it's complete. You know, and this guy, retelling his story, said that it landed just inches away from him, and even parts of it grazed him on the way down. So a really close, lucky call there for him. But Devin, it's interesting maybe to get your standpoint on this. It's also very intriguing that this happened the other day when we had a lot of hail across the state. So almost makes you think that it might be related to that. But then you mentioned it could have come from an aircraft or something like that. Do they tend to freeze up like that at those kind of altitudes?
Yeah, I mean, usually aircraft are usually pretty good to go. I know Jeff was talking about this yesterday and kind of threw that idea out there, but really, we kind of don't, none of us know at this point where this thing came from, and of course, scientists are still analyzing it, so hopefully we'll get an update to see where this goes. But obviously, we do know one thing: it was not caused by hail, even though there were storms there. That updraft is not strong enough to support a basketball-sized hailstone. I mean, the largest hailstone was just recorded about a decade ago, I believe, in one of the Dakotas, farther off toward the west, so in the U.S. there. So I think that was the largest hailstone in the world. So there you go. But yeah, obviously the chances of anything crashing through our roof, very slim. So no need to panic there.
That's good.
No, well, thank goodness.
All right.